Welcome back, everyone, and buckle up, because today we have a huge update coming out of Cowboys camp that's got the entire fan base buzzing. The Dallas Cowboys are in the middle of one of their most intense stretches of training camp and preseason action in recent memory, and the news coming out is a mixed bag. We've got some good injury updates, some not so good injury setbacks, and a clearer picture of the running back battle that's heating up faster than a Texas summer afternoon. Between Miles Sanders' situation, the progress of rookie offensive tackle Tyler Guyton, the emergence of Jaydon Blue, and the jockeying for position in that running back room, there's a lot to unpack here. This isn't just about a couple of bumps and bruises, this is shaping the direction of the Cowboys roster heading into Week 1, and potentially deciding whether this team comes out firing or starts the season with questions hanging over them. Let's start with the big headline, the good news first, because every Cowboys fan could use a little bit of positivity before we wade into the tougher stuff. Miles Sanders, the veteran running back brought in to add a new dimension to the offense after the departure of Tony Pollard, has been dealing with some nagging issues that had fans concerned about whether he'd be ready to roll when the games start to count. The latest reports out of camp, however, suggest Sanders is trending in the right direction. He's been moving well in individual drills, showing that signature burst that made him such a dangerous weapon in Philadelphia and Carolina. The Cowboys' medical staff has been cautious with his workload, limiting contact reps and focusing on conditioning, but the eye test says he's looking sharp. That's a massive boost for this team's offensive plans, especially with how much they're looking to lean on a balanced attack this year. But while Sanders' news is encouraging, the Cowboys did get hit with a tougher update on the injury front, and it involves rookie first-rounder Tyler Guyton. Guyton, the big tackle out of Oklahoma who was brought in to help solidify the offensive line, has been dealing with an injury that's slowed his camp progression. While it's not believed to be season-threatening, it's the kind of setback that could impact his readiness to contribute right away. Offensive line coach Mike Solari has been vocal about wanting his rookies to get as many live reps as possible, and missing even a week or two at this stage can be costly. For a player like Guyton, who's expected to be a key depth piece and potentially step into a starting role if injuries hit later in the year, every snap is crucial. The Cowboys have been shuffling line combinations in his absence, but it's clear they're eager to get him back to full speed. The silver lining? Word is that his recovery is progressing and that he could be back sooner rather than later, but as always, these situations can be fluid. Now, while Guyton's injury is a bit of a downer, there's been a surge of excitement around another name that wasn't necessarily expected to be making waves so early, Jaydon Blue. The rookie running back out of Texas has been turning heads in camp with his quickness, vision, and ability to find daylight in even the smallest of gaps. Blue came into camp as more of a developmental piece, a player the Cowboys hoped to work into the system slowly. But with some injuries in the running back group and his impressive showings in both practice and preseason action, he's suddenly right in the thick of the conversation for a meaningful role. Coaches have praised his work ethic and his ability to absorb the playbook, and fans have been buzzing about his explosive runs during scrimmages. It's early, but Blue's rise is adding some real intrigue to what was already shaping up to be a competitive running back battle. Speaking of that battle, the Cowboys' running back room is one of the most fascinating position groups to watch right now. Miles Sanders might be penciled in as the RB1 if healthy, but behind him it's a dogfight. Dowdle, Vaughn, Malik Davis, and now Jaydon Blue are all making their case. Each brings a different skill set to the table, Dowdle with his physicality and pass protection, Vaughn with his elusiveness and ability to disappear behind the line before bursting into space, Davis with his versatility, and Blue with that fresh burst and home run potential. The preseason games have been critical in giving these guys live reps, and the coaches are keeping a close eye on pass protection assignments, ball security, and special teams contributions. For some of these players, making the roster might come down to who can provide the most value in multiple phases of the game. The injury updates are influencing this battle in real time. With Sanders easing back in and Guyton temporarily sidelined, reps have opened up for younger backs and depth players to showcase themselves. That's where you're seeing Blue thrive. It's also where players like Dowdle and Vaughn need to make sure they don't get overtaken in the pecking order. Mike McCarthy has hinted that the Cowboys could enter the season with a running back by committee approach, at least early on, which means the rotation could be fluid week to week. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It keeps legs fresh and defenses guessing, but it does mean that no one can afford to take their foot off the gas. On the offensive line side of things, Guyton's absence has given other linemen a chance to get more work, including some veterans who are fighting for roster spots. This could end up being a blessing in disguise, as the Cowboys have a history of needing their backup linemen to step in at a moment's notice during the season. Still, there's no sugarcoating the fact that having your first-round pick dealing with an injury this early is less than ideal. Protecting Dak Prescott and opening lanes for the running game are priorities, and the team is counting on Guyton to be part of that equation. His return to full health will be a major storyline in the coming weeks. What's interesting about all of this is how interconnected it is. Sanders' health impacts the running back battle. The running back battle is influenced by how well the offensive line gels, and the offensive line's depth is being tested because of Guyton's situation. Meanwhile, a player like Jaydon Blue is seizing the moment, forcing coaches to reconsider their depth chart plans. It's the domino effect that makes training camp and preseason so fascinating and sometimes frustrating for fans and coaches alike. Defensively, the Cowboys are holding up well in terms of injuries so far, which is a huge relief given how critical that unit is to the team's overall success. Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, and the rest of the defensive stars have been able to stay on the field, and the defense has been getting the better of the offense in some practice sessions. That's to be expected early, as defenses often gel faster in camp, but it also underscores why getting the offensive line and running game clicking is so important. The Cowboys have the firepower to be a top-tier team, but only if they can stay balanced and keep the chains moving on offense. As we move closer to the regular season, the Cowboys will have to make some tough roster decisions. Does Jaydon Blue make the final cut, and if so, whose spot does he take? Can Miles Sanders get enough reps in to hit the ground running in Week 1? Will Tyler Guyton be ready to contribute, or will the team have to lean on its veteran depth for the early part of the season? These are the questions hanging in the air, and every practice, every preseason snap is providing more clues to the answers. One thing is clear: this team has talent, depth, and potential, but the margin for error in the NFL is razor thin. A couple of injuries can shift the balance in a hurry, and how the Cowboys navigate these bumps in the road will say a lot about their readiness to contend in a loaded NFC. Fans are right to be both excited and a little nervous, because this is the time of year when dreams are built but also when reality can deliver some hard truths. For now, the focus is on getting Sanders fully healthy, bringing Guyton back into the fold, riding the momentum of Jaydon Blue's emergence, and letting the running back competition push everyone to their limits. So as we keep a close eye on Oxnard and the next preseason matchups, expect the storylines to keep shifting. That's the beauty and the chaos of NFL preseason football. One day you're worried about injuries, the next you're talking about breakout rookies, and by the time Week 1 rolls around, the roster might look very different than anyone expected. Cowboys Nation knows the drill: hope for the best, prepare for anything, and keep your eyes on the star. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of these crucial updates as the Cowboys gear up for what could be a defining season. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the latest out of camp, don't forget to hit that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on who you think will win the RB battle. This is going to be one wild ride.